A mother-in-law's revenge on her daughter-in-law. How's this for a twist on the old story about your wife having sex with another man? My mother made her do it. Honestly, it was her story, and she stuck to it. I caught my wife cheating in a most unusual way. I cheated on her when I saw her cheating on me, but she didn't see me, so I can claim the moral high ground, at least for now. I work as a buyer for a large chain store and spend a lot of time talking to sales representatives from a wide variety of companies. I had an appointment at 10 o'clock with Mrs. Cindy Myers, a sales representative for a large electronics firm, and Mrs. Myers walked into my office at 10 o'clock sharp, and my jaw dropped to the floor. It had been almost 15 years since I'd seen her, but there was no doubt that Mrs. Cindy Myers was the same Cindy Elwell I'd dated for 3 years in high school. The same Cindy Elwell who had given me her cherry, in exchange for mine, in the back seat of my father's Pontiac. She recognized me in an instant, and the cheerful smile disappeared from her face. Should I even sit down? I stood up, pulled out a chair for her, and said, "I'll be crushed if you don't." She sat down, and I sat down at my desk across from her and smiled broadly. "Okay, Mrs. Myers, tell me how you can help us." She looked at me and asked, "Am I wasting my time?" "Not at all," I said. "Put our past history out of your mind. You're not here to beg for forgiveness, and I have no intention of begging you for a second chance. Go ahead and sell me something." The rest of our meeting proceeded in a professional and businesslike manner, and when it was over, she had a significant order in her order book, and I had gotten a favorable deal on several items that we were selling in large quantities. The conversation then turned to old times, to "Do you remember?" "What happened?" and "Have you heard of anything?" By then it was lunchtime, and I offered to take her to a restaurant in the Marriott Hotel, and she agreed. We were just about to order drinks when Cindy said, "I'm not really that hungry. Not to the point of eating anyway. Are you?" The meaning of her words was clear, and although I had never cheated on my wife, this was Cindy, and apparently I had some unresolved issues, such as I was hoping to hear her say, "I'm sorry I left you for that jerk. He was no match for you." You know, stuff like that. Whatever the reason, I couldn't help but ask, "Are you sure?" Cindy smiled and said, "I've never forgotten that Pontiac, have you?" I was on my way to the counter to get us a room when I saw my wife walking across the lobby with a man in a suit. She turned her head and was talking to the man, so I didn't think she noticed me. I walked to the end of the front desk, turned my back, and picked up the home phone. Behind me, I heard the man say, "Reserved for Mr. and Mrs. Burns." Then I listened to the check-in procedure, and then the man said, "Oh, and please ask room service to send a bottle of champagne. Would you mind, my love?" My wife's voice replied, "Whatever you say, darling." The clerk gave them the key to room 746, and they walked through and got into the elevator. I hurried back to Cindy and told her that whatever we did, it wasn't going to be at the Marriott, and then explained to her why. She burst into laughter, and I swear all eyes in the place were on us. We went to the Holiday Inn and had a very pleasant day, and when we parted, we vowed to keep in touch and probably will. She was much, much better in the Holiday Inn bed than I remembered her being before she left me. That evening, I was home when Janine returned. "Rough day?" I asked. "A real rat race. A client I've been working with came in, and he didn't like anything we made for him." I smiled at her and asked, "Is this by any chance the man you went to the Marriott with today?" I saw her face lose a little color, but she quickly oriented herself. "Yes, he took me there for lunch." I smiled again. I wish I could find a customer or two to buy me champagne. Now there was alarm on her face. "What do you mean?" In a very stern voice, I said, "You know perfectly well what I mean, Mrs. Burns. I mean the champagne you and Mr. Burns shared, among other things, in room 746. Now all color was gone from her face. "How did you know?" "When you and Mr. Burns checked into the room, a very good friend was using the house phone at the end of the front desk. You could have Labs knocked him over when you said, Whatever you decide, darling, would you like to tell me about it? There was a note of disdain in her voice. What's there to tell? I spent 4 hours with him. We had sex several times. I came home. I know I was being a real fool, considering how I found out about it, but I couldn't help it. I was enjoying it. I'm sorry if it sounds like my ego has been trampled, but I thought I was doing an adequate job of satisfying your sexual needs. Please, where have I failed in my job? She stared into my eyes in silence for a few moments, then said, You haven't failed. I'm perfectly happy with our sex life. Then why, pray tell, I inquired, the afternoon spent with Mr. Burns? Silence again, a deep breath, and then, Your mother made me do it. 2 things to make this clear. I never had any intention of lashing out at my wife for what she did. My secret fantasy, which I never told her about, was to see her have sex with someone else. I never told her about it because I didn't believe she would ever do it. Now, after her afternoon fiddling with Mr. Burns, my fantasy didn't seem hopeless. Second, whatever she was going to tell me about my mother, I had to believe. My mother had never liked my wife. Certainly she didn't like any of the women in my life. Some of the things she did that made those women look bad had long ago convinced me that I should pay no attention to anything my mother might say or do. It was supposed to be a bachelorette party for my cousin Renee, but it turned into a real binge party for most of the women present. They had arranged for a male stripper to come and do a striptease for Renee, and by the time he arrived, the girls were all worked up. He was supposed to strip down to his panties and shake his package in Renee's face while she sat on a chair. But it didn't go that way. Girls were throwing singles, 5s, and 10s at him and yelling, Take it off! Take it all off! The guy was here to make money, and if the women wanted to see what he had enough to pay for it, so be it. Soon some of the girls started saying, I'll give you 20 if I can touch it, and then things went completely off the rails. Some girls gave him money to let them kiss him, and then my mom dared to give him money to kiss Janine. Janine refused, and my mom said she would give the guy $50 if he would let Janine kiss his dignity, so he agreed. But Janine refused again. Then all the girls started chanting, Do it, Janine, do it, Janine. And everyone was drinking and yelling, and my mom was waving the bills, Do it, Janine, do it, Janine. And the stripper was in her face, rocking back and forth hard. Do it, Janine, do it, Janine. So she closed her eyes and pressed her lips together and leaned forward. It was at this point that my mom took the picture. Janine and the stripper immediately recoiled, and the drinking continued. 2 days after the party, my mom called Janine and asked her to meet her for breakfast on her way to work. At breakfast, Mom said she needed a favor from Janine. I have a very important client coming to town, and I want to make sure he has a good time while he's here. I thought of you right away. He's going to like you. Janine looked at her confused. What do you mean? She asked my mother. Just make sure he has a good time while he's here. What are you asking? Janine asked, in a tone that indicated she was starting to get angry. My mom replied, You know more about it than I do, honey. Most men like to be made good, and you're very good at it. And she held out a picture to Janine of her with a stripper. You and Mark have such a good marriage, and I'm sure you wouldn't want him to see this, would you, honey? That's exactly why I was at the Marriott showing Mr. Burns a good time. I sat staring at her in stunned bewilderment, not at what she had just told me, not at what my mother had done. I had already admitted I wouldn't put anything to her credit, but at the fact that Janine had caved in so easily. Let's face it, all she had to do was tell my mother to back off, and when the picture got to me, tell me what happened. All she had to do was tell me who was at the party, and I would have easily corroborated what she said. But she didn't. Why didn't she? Because it gave her a chance to do what she wanted to do anyway. So she could say, I was forced if she got caught? She misunderstood the look on my face. What? You don't think your mother is capable of that? Let me tell you what that fool did to me. Mr. Burns isn't the first, he's the 9th. That's right. Your mother's been making me do this for over a month now, and you're ready for this? Last Thursday, it was 3 guys at the same time. She didn't tell me about it, just let me into the hotel room where they were waiting. I stood there looking at her, wondering what to do next. So, you're not going to say anything? She asked. I didn't know if I had done the right thing, but I didn't want to lose Janine, and I had to let her know that, so I said, "Did Mr. Burns leave enough for me?" Janine looked at me like she couldn't believe what she was hearing, and then she said, "Are you saying you need sloppy seconds?" I smiled. "Race you to the bedroom." 2 days later, I came home from work, but Janine wasn't home, but there was a note saying my dinner was in the microwave. When she came home 2 hours later and I asked her where she had been, she said, "Entertaining another friend of your mother's." I frowned and asked why. "I know that now. She can't use that picture to blackmail you anymore." "She sure can," Janine said. "My mother and father, grandparents, the minister at our church, and God knows who else is in there. Until we get that picture back, I'm your mother's personal cheater." I thought for a moment, then asked, "How fresh a cheater are you?" She grinned. "Less than half an hour ago." "Why? You want sloppy seconds again?" After another fun hour in bed, I sat up and looked down at her. "Truth time," I said. "You could have ended this at any time by coming to me. You know I would have stormed over to Mom's house and taken that picture. You didn't do it because you really wanted to be her cheating girlfriend. If only for a time or two, didn't you?" A concerned expression appeared on Janine's face, and I said, "You don't have to hide anything, baby. I've already had sex with you twice when you came home after being with someone else. There was no screaming, yelling, or name-calling, so you need to realize that you're mine, and I'm going to keep you." I was right. When my mother showed her the picture, Janine took it as a chance to taste forbidden fruit and an excuse if she got caught. But after the first couple of times, you realized you liked it and kept doing it, right? I got a sheepish look, and then she admitted that I'd hit the sweet spot. "Well," I said, "since it's time for the truth," and told her about my fantasy. Her eyes got big and she said, "You can't be serious. You've wanted this all these years and never told me." I shrugged and replied, "I never thought you'd want to try another man." Janine gave me a smirk that I can only describe as evil and asked, "So now what?" "Well, since you're my mother's personal cheater and you still have to have sex with these guys, you can do it here with me in the closet. What do you say to that?" Janine grinned widely and said, "Can I make love to you?" I let her. The next morning, I was at my mom's early in the morning. I got straight to the point. "I need a picture." Blank stare. "What picture?" "Mom, get me a picture. Do it now, or I'll tell Dad what you've done." She gave me another blank stare. "Honestly, Mark, I have no idea what you're talking about." "Okay," I said. I stood up, walked over to the phone, and dialed the number from memory. "Who are you calling?" Mom inquired. "I'm calling my dad at work." She walked over and pressed the button, then reached into her purse, pulled out an envelope, and tossed it on the table. "I always told you she was a tramp." I opened the envelope, looked at the picture inside, and said, "She wasn't until you made her one. Now here's what we're going to do to keep Daddy out of this." And I explained to her what she had to do. I've been watching Janine for about 6 months now, and the two of us run after each other like wild animals when her lover leaves her. Janine likes to spread out on the bed and ask me if I'm ready for my sloppy seconds. She recently asked me to go down on her once her boyfriend leaves, but I'm not that brave yet. My mom still sets her up on dates, and I haven't told Janine yet that my mom doesn't have a picture to hold over her head anymore. And there's something else. To get even with her for what she did to Janine, I told my mom that she would have to do to one of my clients what she was making Janine do to hers. She resisted at first, but the threat of getting her father involved in what she had done made her give in. I set her up with a really nice guy. After all, she is still my mother, and she spent the day with him. In the evening, she called me at home. I hope you're happy now. I just don't understand how you could do that to me, your own mother. But I'm warning you, you better not try to get me to do this more than once or twice a week. I laughed. Why, you old cheater. Honestly, Mark, that's no way to talk to your mother. And she hung up. The end! Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.